India is the fifth largest economy in the world.
Australia and India are great friends.
Defence partnership with India.
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 The 1940s and 50s were an incredible period. Dozens of countries broke their colonial shackles. They emerged as young, independent countries. India, of course, was one of them. But right after independence, we faced an obvious problem. Unlike others, we were massive. India had around 340 million people at the time of independence. So anything we did had to be done at scale. Whether it was social justice programs or elections or transport networks, everything had to be done at scale. That too, with little administrative experience. No spoilers here, we succeeded. Today, India is a template for other developing countries. If your goal is nation building, if your goal is to deliver things at scale, then watch this. First up, elections. We waited until 1951 to hold our first election, and when we did, it was free and fair. Back then, the voting age was 21, not 18. Some 176 million voters had to be registered to vote. Immediately, there was a problem. Around 82% of them could not read or write. So how would they identify and vote for their candidates? The solution was symbols. Each candidate had their own election symbol. This symbol was pasted on the corresponding ballot box. The voters had to collect their ballot paper and drop it in the desired box. Voting done. The overall turnout was around 45%, but in some areas it was as high as 80%. All the Western pundits had to eat their words because the elections were a huge success. At that time, India could have taken the easy way out. Even the US did not have universal adult voting, but India wanted it. Despite the challenge, we wanted every Indian voice to count. And of course, a lot of credit goes to the bureaucracy. They spent a lot of time registering people to vote. They also devised clever ways to overcome the challenges, like election symbols instead of names. But as time went by, a new challenge emerged. In the late 1950s and 1960s, election rigging was rampant. Politicians or their muscle men would capture entire booths. They would stuff ballot papers inside their own box. So in 1977, India's Election Commission came up with a new idea. Why not use a machine instead? The design came from two IIT Bombay professors. After trials and experiments, the commission decided to deploy it. Thus, the EVM was born, the electronic voting machine. It was first deployed in the 1982 elections for a single seat in Kerala, but that result was later struck down because technically EVMs were not part of Indian laws. So in 1988, the laws were amended. The parliament added EVMs to the Indian constitution, and from there, it caught on. By 2004, EVMs were used in all constituencies. Today, they are a staple of Indian elections. That also means there are questions. From time to time, doubts have been raised about EVMs. The recent parliament election had almost 1 billion voters. We use nearly 5 million EVMs to count the votes. It doesn't matter if you live in some remote mountain or deep inside some jungle, your vote will always count. And that is why Indian elections are a success. Because we go the extra mile. When we talk about scale, how can we forget the Indian Railways? It ferries around 7 billion people every year. It's almost the entire world population, 7 billion people. The railway system was introduced by the British in the 1850s. It was meant for their administrative use. After independence, the mission was different. The railways were the most commonly used mode of transport. It had to be affordable, efficient, and scaled up. At that time, the railways were a combination of some 40 companies. In 1951, the government decided to nationalize it. The whole network was brought under one umbrella, the Indian Railways. The growth of this network happened in three directions. One was expanding the routes, the second was electrification, and the third was user comfort. In 1950, India had around 59,000 kilometers of railway tracks. Now it stands at more than 107,000. That's around 40,000 kilometers of tracks. Out of this, nearly 31,000 was laid after 2014. In fact, the railway expansion was quite rapid in the last decade. The goal has been to integrate the country better. And we saw an example of that earlier this year. A new rail line was inaugurated in Kashmir. It passes through some of the toughest and highest terrains in the country.
May I have your attention, please?
The second goal has been electrification. Some 45,000 kilometers has been electrified since 2014, up from just 5,000 in the 10 years before that. Today, nearly 98% of the network is electrified. The mission is to also make this sustainable. By 2030, the Indian Railways will achieve net zero carbon emission. Solar energy will play a major role in that. Around 2,000 stations have solar panels installed. So gone are the images of smoke pumping train engines in India. Our network is modern and sustainable. Finally, you have comfort. More than 1,000 stations are being upgraded in India. They will be fitted with world-class amenities. You'll find lifts and escalators in most major stations today. Plus 6,000 stations have Wi-Fi. And let's not forget the trains. New generations of trains have been introduced recently. The most popular is the Vande Bharat. There are more than 130 Vande Bharat services at the moment. The plan is to produce 400 more. Other models include the Amrit Bharat and the Namo Bharat trains. Their focus is on affordability. And that's the key here. The railways are a lifeline for the Indian economy, so the goal is to keep it cheap, even as it improves. Another Indian marvel is Fintech, short for financial technology. In less than a decade, India has done what many thought impossible. We have brought millions, actually hundreds of millions, into the digital world. In the world of payments, it started with a simple question. How do you make digital payments as easy as text messages? The answer was UPI, the Unified Payments Interface. It is a platform to transfer money through your phone, instant, open, and most importantly, free. From street vendors to CEOs, almost every Indian uses UPI. Today, it handles around 640 million transactions every day. Compare that to Visa. It handles 639 million transactions daily. But remember, Visa is global. UPI is almost exclusively used in India, plus some other countries now. The miracle of UPI is not an isolated achievement. It is the result of an impressive digital ecosystem. You've got Aadhaar cards giving people unique biometric identity. This has made it easier to open bank accounts and complete your customer authentication. Basically, an electronic KYC, or Know Your Customer. The end goal is greater financial integration, to bring more and more people into the banking system. That's what the Jan Dhan scheme has done. Around 540 million Jan Dhan accounts have been opened since 2014, and women hold more than half of these accounts. If you combine all these assets and features, you get a well-oiled digital system. Bank accounts, unique identity, instant payments, and direct transfers. And that last bit is very important. Earlier, social security payments in India had a lot of leakage. Former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi once complained about it. He said, for every 1 rupee the government spends, only 15 paise reaches the beneficiary. Financial inclusion has plugged that gap. Today, social security payments use direct transfers via Jan Dhan accounts. The result? No leakages. Around 1,200 government schemes use direct transfers. It has saved 3.48 lakh crore rupees in leakages and inefficiencies. Imagine. All that through digital financial inclusion. The rationale of India's fintech journey has been different from the West. In other countries, financial technology is seen as a luxury, as an added bonus for the rich. In India, we did not just digitize the rich, we digitized everyone. We used fintech as a force multiplier for the economy. Many countries are keen to learn from us, and India has been willing to share. Our open source digital public good model is a template for other developing countries. But it was possible because of 3 reasons. One is the political will, of course, whether it was holding elections or financial inclusion for millions. Our leaders did not settle for less. They wanted it to be done, whatever the cost. Second, we kept these services open. The railways are still owned and operated by the government. The UPI is still anchored by the government. This ensures that the services remain affordable and people-centric. The focus is not on profits. And finally, kudos to the people. Nobody expected an illiterate electorate to become a thriving democracy. It is only because our people did not squander their rights. They valued and cherished their vote. Same with financial inclusion and digitization. Prosperous countries in the West still run on cards and cash. How could India go cashless? Again, Indians defied expectations. Our success in scaling is a testimony to all these factors. We don't just make it work for a few, we make it work for 1.4 billion people.